I think it is time to go, Prince Grayson said. I am not ready, Radion insisted. It may be a long time before I get a chance to return. We won't be gone that long, snorted Prince Grayson. He could feel the stubbornness settle inside Radion. Oh, all right, he conceded. 1 more hour and that's it. Being in the cave was a place of peace and fond memories for Radion, and Prince Grayson was in no hurry to start the journey to Alarion. He sat back and enjoyed the pictures of Radion's memories that were being shared with him. Come on, Radion. Prince Grayson gently coaxed his dragon after a while. It's time to go. Radion grunted sadly as he stood up at the opening of the cave, staring into the water lapping onto the floor. Grayson could feel Radion's reluctance to leave like he always could. After a bit, Radion sighed, and a puff of smoke drifted from his large nostrils before he took a deep breath. He closed the flaps of skin over his nose that worked like eyelids before diving into the water. Radion dove deep into the lake, barely skimming the sediment at the bottom of the lake. Gracefully, he turned upward, swimming as proficient as a sea eel as he positioned his snout straight up. Out of the murky depths, Radion pushed himself upward, gaining speed. He broke the surface, churning the water in the lake. His silver hide glistened in the sunlight with droplets of water as he unfurled his wings he had earlier held closely to his body, so they wouldn't impede the speed he needed. The droplets fell as rain on the surface of the lake. Strong swoops of his large wings gracefully lifted Radion into the sky and swiftly propelled him to the castle. The sun was warm when Radion shifted and dropped Prince Grayson onto the ground as he nimbly landed. He could see his father, King Ayan, sitting beneath a fig tree at the courtyard entrance of the palace. Prince Grayson greeted King Ayan. Good afternoon, father. Good afternoon, replied King Ayan, smiling warmly. He motioned to Grayson to sit on the chair on the other side of the small round stone table beside him. Would you like some raspberry tea? He asked. That would be awesome, he replied cheerfully. King Ayan waved for the servant to approach. Bring me 2 large glasses of raspberry tea and a pitcher full of tea also, he directed. The servant hurried off to do as requested. The king waited, remaining silent until the servant returned with the glasses full of tea. Behind him, a kitchen maid was carrying the pitcher King Ayan had ordered. She sloshed tea from the pitcher as she set it on the stone table. She reached into a pocket to get a towel to clean up the small mess she had made. The king waved her off. Leave the towel on the table for now, he said. I will call if we need anything else. As they scurried out of the courtyard, King Ayan lifted a glass to his face and drank deeply. Prince Grayson took the towel and wiped up the spilled tea before following suit, taking a long, satisfying drink of the raspberry tea. The king sat his glass down and looked at his son. He seemed more tired than usual. Grayson knew that something was weighing heavily on his father's mind. So what's up, father? Prince Grayson smiled. You never order raspberry tea from me unless you have something important to discuss. And you must be thirsty, asking for a whole pitcher of it. Is it that obvious? The king smiled wearily. I must admit, since I know your favorite drink is raspberry tea, I just figure it would make bad news easier to hear. Prince Grayson lifted an eyebrow. Bad news? Grayson felt concerned as he watched his father take another long drink, emptying the glass. He looked more serious than normal. King Ayan filled his glass before continuing. Your brother has fallen ill again. He seemed fine earlier. He was a bit anxious about going to Alarion this morning. When we spoke last, it was obvious he didn't want to go, but I thought he was going to be okay with it, Grayson said in surprise. Well, it seems he was more anxious about it than you thought, replied the king. He has worked himself up to the point that he has made himself ill again. King Ayan shook his head. I wish your mother was here, he whispered. Prince Grayson sighed. He knew his father was a powerful ruler, who led his nation with an iron fist, yet he was a softy, who judged with common sense and a strong dose of fairness. His wife had been by his side for years before she passed away, and he missed her advice. Because of her, he learned to lead his people with respect, and he had the people's loyalty wholeheartedly. King Ayan had loved Queen Lilette with everything he had. She had been his true mate. That was the reason finding true mates was encouraged in Peroria. Queen Lilette's death, while giving birth to their only daughter, had left a hole inside him that had never been filled since. You know your brother was always a sickly boy up to the day your mother died, King Ayan said sadly. He was stuck to her hip because she refused to allow no one but herself to care for him. He paused and sighed. Chaim took her death very hard, so hard that it stunted his mental development for a time, setting back his health as well. I know anxiety has plagued Haim for years, agreed Prince Grayson, but he has outgrown most of his health issues, especially now that he has received his dragon. That is true, admitted King Ayan, but his young dragon doesn't know how to deal with the anxiety that makes him sick. King Ayan stared into his glass of raspberry tea. He looked at his son with eyes that pleaded for understanding. You were barely 6 when your mother passed. I know I leaned on you way too much while I was grieving. You were bright, healthy, and a joy to be around. I didn't mean to neglect your younger siblings, but they were constantly surrounded by servants and nurses. I couldn't deal with it. You never neglected them, Prince Grayson said, reassuring his father of that truth. I was there every day when you went to the nursery. Remember how you would hold me, and I would hold my tiny baby sister in my lap? After that, we would check on Haim. If he was well enough, I would stay and play with him for a while. You were always the independent one, King Ayan replied with a smile. Even as a child, I could see your potential as the next king of Peoria. Prince Grayson smiled in return. He knew the bond between him and his father had allowed him to deal with the loss of his mother in a healthy manner, helping him to develop into the man he was now. He saw father as king, yet a loving, kind man within the palace walls. This had been an example set for him by King Ayan that few others knew about. How sick has he made himself this time? Asked Prince Grayson with concern, getting back to the matter at hand. The doctor says that he has been throwing up constantly for the last hour and a half. King Ayan shuddered. Radion was listening intently this whole time. He sighed. The king never ceases to amaze me in a good way, he added. He has seen more guts and blood in battle than you can imagine, but still the thought of his son being sick is abhorrent to him. Prince Grayson agreed with Radion, but did not comment. He had fought beside King Ayan. He knew his father was a ferocious warrior in battle. He never came out of a fight until he was drenched in the blood of his enemies. Yet just the thought of his own children being sick would bring him to his knees. I think you should have allowed me to go with him to meet the Princess of Valerian. He may have been all right with that, commented Grayson. I know, said King Ayan. It's just that I believe that the treaty between us and Alarion is too fresh to risk both my heirs there at the same time without an army for protection. Also, since Radion sensed your mate already, I didn't see any reason for you to go. Suppose she chose you over your brother. Who knows what kind of incident would start if you needed to reject her? It seemed the sensible thing to send him alone with your uncle and a few guards. Now Chaim is too sick to travel, Prince Grayson said, stating the obvious. King Ayan nodded. Your brother has been doing so well the last couple of years. I can't remember the last time he was so ill from anxiety. Prince Grayson could. He chose not to remind his father that it happened 3 years ago, when the monument of their mother had been raised in the town square. Queen Lilette was beloved by the people. When the people celebrated 20 years of King Ayaan's monarchy, they put statues of their beloved monarchs together in the center of the capital. The statue reminded Chaim how much he missed his mother. He had been sick for a month. It was a year before Chaim could set foot in the town square without feeling sorrowful when he saw his mother's likeness. So I guess I'll need to fly to Alarion, Prince Grayson said matter-of-factly. Relief was etched across King Ayan's face. I am glad you see the prudence of you being in attendance. I need you to go. I still need a representation of a possible heir. I feel like I am wasting your time because your mate is here somewhere in Peoria. I hate to ask, knowing the risk we may be taking if you attend. An alliance through marriage would be a great move towards a more solid peace that would have a foundation beyond mere words on paper. That's why I wanted to send him. King Ayan frowned. By the way, I am not asking you to marry the Princess of Alarion. True mates are hard to come by these days, but for diplomacy's sake, maybe? King Ayan paused pointedly before continuing. No one knows that Radion has felt your mate. No one outside the nobles since your best friend found out. We need to keep it that way. Prince Grayson remembered the way his parents had loved each other. He wanted the mate bond and love that he had witnessed in their lives. He couldn't imagine anything that would make him give up looking for his mate. I agree with you, said Radion softly. Prince Grayson chose his words carefully, using the diplomacy his own father had taught him. I will go, he replied, but you know that I am going to take my best friend with me. I know, replied the king, and I have already sent a messenger to call him back to the castle as soon as I knew Chaim was ill. He sighed. I know Eliaster has been your friend since childhood. I hope he has learned the value of keeping his mouth shut concerning your private life. Loose lips sink ships. If he wants to be half as good an advisor as his grandfather was to my father, he has to learn to keep the secrets of the state. Prince Grayson nodded. It wasn't like Eliaster had gossiped about it. He had been so excited when he learned Radion had sensed his mate. He just didn't understand the need to keep it a secret. He accidentally let it slip at Prince Grayson's party that Radion knew their mate was out there somewhere. King Ayan was enraged when he heard Eliaster had let it slip at the party. After he cooled down, he had a long talk with Eliaster about how important it was that he kept anything private that Prince Grayson told him. He then sent him off to an outpost where he instructed Eliaster to take the time away from Prince Grayson to think about what might have occurred if this had been a state secret. I really hope he has learned his lesson, repeated King Ayan. I will have a serious discussion with Eliaster while we travel, Prince Grayson said. I'm sure he has. Will the Duke of Aniston still be traveling with us? Yes, your Uncle Romid will be traveling to Ilarion with your entourage. The king looked defeated. Once again I am doing something I am not comfortable with. Sending my chief advisor and my heir to Ilarion together does not sit well with me, but you may need his advice. Prince Grayson nodded. He was grateful his mother's brother would accompany him. Uncle Romid was more than just an uncle. He was a good friend and his father's most trusted advisor. One last thing, King Ayan said. Eliaster will get here late tonight. I expect you to leave early tomorrow morning. Rest at Fort Ludar if you need to. While you are there, he added, check up on the welfare of the troops. You can do that on the trip back if needed, but make sure you do it. Also, I want to know if there have been any incidents along the border with Ilarion.
Has there been trouble on the border? Prince Grayson asked as he rose from the table to leave and get ready for the journey. That's the problem. I haven't had a report in a few days, sighed the king worriedly. Let me know as soon as possible.